Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this paper cut light up art piece of the Empire State Building out of cardstock. So let's just get right into it. Since it's the holidays, I wanted to spend a lot of time with my family, so I wanted to make a project that was more simple and easy and quick so I could spend more time with them and have fun. So this project will be a lot more simple than my other ones. If you want to make this project yourself, the materials you will need are 5 sheets of cardstock 8.5 by 11 inches, an X-Acto knife, a pencil, ruler, Elmer's glue foam board, and LED strips. This project consists of sheets of cardstock that are layered together with strips of foam board and lit up by LED strips. So, the first step is to create a 1/2-inch border around all of your sheets of paper because that's where you will glue the foam board strips. After I drew all of the borders on, I created a quick sketch of what I wanted to make this project. This is a rough idea, but it works. Since this sketch is very vertical, I'm turning all of my sheets of cardstock vertical as well. The first layer I'm starting on will be the Empire State Building itself. I take one of the papers and I draw a line straight down the middle so the building can be symmetrical as I draw it in. I just copy a picture of the Empire State Building I have and my sketch, but I keep in mind that I'm going to add text on the bottom which is going to cover the bottom of the building, so I make sure everything is a bit higher up. Then I meticulously draw out the whole entire building. I wanted to make the Empire State Building into a project because I lived in New Jersey for 4 years, so I've been to the Empire State Building, I've been to New York, so it felt very personal. And now since everything is drawn out nicely, I cut out just the silhouette of the building. All of these little sections will be on separate pieces of paper, stacked on top to create depth. Then on a second sheet of cardstock, you want to cut out those rectangles on the bottom for the different layers of the building. These will be stacked on top of the first layer later on. And using a ruler for this is really helpful. To add details to these pieces and the rest of the building, I cut really thin long strips of cardstock to layer on. Since this building is so big and the windows would look really small on it, you can create these vertical lines to imitate the windows and add the details and it'll look good. So that's why I'm taking these strips and just gluing them vertically up and down all of these different pieces. Then I go back and I take my X-Acto knife and I cut along the edge of each of these glue down strips, making sure not to cut the top or the bottom or else I will cut the paper in half. You want to do this to add some light lines that will add more detail and dimension and just shine through and look a lot better. I do this on every single piece, including that first layer with the main building. Then you want to get some foam board. This is a 1/4 inch thick foam board. There's different thicknesses of foam board which work for different things. Since I don't want these sections of the building to be too far, this thickness is perfect. I actually squish it down a little bit so it's thinner. But I take some strips of this, glue it on the back of each of the little sections, and then pile it all on top, stacking them, gluing them in place on the main layer. And here is our main building done. For the next layer, I'm making the background, which is the sun in the sky. I take my second layer of the cardstock, I draw a line down the middle, and I trace a circle in the correct spot in the sky right behind the building. And I draw little rays of sunlight coming off, cut it out. and I covered this hole with a big sheet of tracing paper. Tracing paper is just a really thin paper that you lay over a drawing to trace it. This paper is really thin, so it allows a lot of light to shine through. So I use it to create areas that I want to be really bright. So I glue this sheet over the back of the sun, and then I wanted to add a slight bit of shading, so I cut little half rays out of more tracing paper and glued them into the rays of the sun. It wasn't necessary, but it added a little bit extra detail and I think it looked good. And you're basically done with the sun. This in and of itself is a really simple 2-layer piece if you want to leave it this way. I wanted to add more, so I decided to create 2 layers between the Empire State Building and the sky. So I created 2 layers of a bunch of buildings, different heights, different amounts of detail, just to fill in that space a bit and make it look like it's in the city. I used the same technique of gluing vertical lines to create windows. And you can really see how this whole thing will come together when I add the last layer. This will be the very front layer. It's going to be a little frame that goes in front of the whole entire thing. It's going to have the words Empire State Building, and it's going to have some Art Deco details and designs around it. So I brainstormed a little, I looked at inspiration, and I found some designs that I really liked, so I turned them into this little frame. There's one thing you have to be careful about, which I made the mistake of forgetting, is that when you write words and you flip the paper, they're going to be backwards. And I had to adjust by cutting out this little section, and I flipped it over onto another piece of paper, and I cut it out backwards on that so I could flip it back and it would be right side up. So I did that, and it was a decently easy fix. I cut out the ginkgo leaves that will be lighter, and it's really fun to just layer up different areas, lighten up different areas, glue different papers and experiment. So that's what I did with this frame. I tried to make it really stand out, and it was a lot of fun. But that is it for all of my layers. Now I have to assemble them. The foam board we used in the project earlier was 1/4 inch thick. This foam board is 1/2 inch thick. So I cut 1/2 inch strips of foam board that are as long as my paper and as wide as my paper. And you can see easier here as I'm cutting them out. Then I glue these strips onto the layers in that designated 1/2 inch border that we drew earlier. And then you can stack them on top of each other, glue them with Elmer's glue, and they are all stuck together. Then you can put it into a wooden box. I make custom boxes for mine, but I don't have any currently. And then the last step is you take an LED strip, these are really cheap, and you glue it around the edge of the box in the back, or in my case, I just place it behind there for now. And you can choose whatever light color you want to light up your piece. I chose this deep orange light, and I think it looks really nice with the Empire State Building, and it matches the sun in the background. So yeah, this was a really simple and fun project to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye!